When I was in year 5, I was jealous of my classmates. They've always got good grades, and I barely passed, even though I actually put in a decent amount of effort. And I've always wondered, how is it that we all take in the same piece of information, and yet our results are vastly different? How is it that they can play Genshin in class while I'm struggling to do my integration and still get completely outclassed? And there were a few possible conclusions that I could come to. I could think of myself as being too dumb or retarded, which I sometimes do think that way, but that's besides the point. Or that I didn't put enough effort and time in, which is partially true, but the increasing time is probably not going to bring my default dogshit grade to an A. Or I could think that I'm using the wrong processes and that my whole learning system is the flawed one. And by fixing the faulty system, I can actually change the situation around. And it was at this moment when I suddenly took on the identity of a learner, excited to find out how I can learn better. And the actions I took matched that. And as a result, I invested a lot of time and quite a bit of money into my learning, no longer caring so much about the outcome, but just ending up enjoying the process of improving. And here's the thing, if it was me a year ago, even if you put the same study cost in front of my face for free, the effect would not be the same. I didn't identify as a learner, and as a result, I wouldn't put in any effort into the learning. Because at that point in time, learning was simply not something I would do. And once again, it made me think of Sam Ovens podcast, where he was talking about the one thing that the best people of a craft had in common. And it wasn't being smarter, nor was it discipline, or praying for the rewards to come. And it wasn't being gifted either. It was the passion. It was being more obsessed than everyone else, always thinking about it, always spending more time on it. So he quoted the example of Michael Jordan, who fell in love with basketball more than anyone else. So he stayed back longer to practice. He was thinking of the game more, on how he can improve. And it is no wonder why many consider him to be the best. There are things that you can be obsessed with and hurt you. Cough, 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 cough. And remember, kids, don't take drugs. Or things that are not harmful but contribute nothing to your life, like my Mickey Mouse voice acting career, which doesn't exist.
Hypocrite that you are, for you trust the chemicals in your brain to tell you they're chemicals. All knowledge is ultimately based on that which we cannot prove. Or you fight, or we perish like a dog.
And that is the end of the talent show. I'm sure that everyone is obsessed with something, and it means a lot to them. And investing more time in it will bring more value to their lives, bring them more joy, and even if it is difficult, they will persevere through. Not by using discipline, but because you choose to do so, and you like to do so. And as much as learning how to learn may not be something you are passionate about, there is a way to sort of create that obsession out of thin air. It's sort of faking it till you make it, and to see how it will work. We first look at this chart where your identities determine your actions and behaviors, but your actions and behaviors reinforce this identity. So if this identity is not there, we can use discipline to force ourselves to do the actions and behaviors that associate with the identity, and through the feedback loop, you will be able to see yourself more as a learner. Basically, whenever we use discipline to create an action or behavior, we change our identity ever so slightly to match it. For example, every time I go to the gym, I associate myself as someone who cares about improving looks and exercise. And even though I didn't have the identity of a bodybuilder, by spending discipline to do the actions and behaviors that associated with it, bit by bit, I embodied the identity or personality a little bit. And naturally, by being slightly obsessed with it, it branched out to me caring about diet, sleep, or my lack of sleep. So, what can you do about this information? Basically, if you want to reinforce your identity, you must first use discipline to do the actions and behaviors associated with that identity, and be consistent with it by spending more time on it. And over time, I know it's difficult, but over time, you will automatically become consistent.